Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and welcome to my review of LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past. So, if you haven't caught them, I did 4 shorts for each of the 4 parts of LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. If you'd like to check them out, feel free to jump over to the shorts feed. But you know what? Let's make it easy. Timestamps down below. They're going to be the next 4 parts of this video, and then we're going to talk about Pieces of the Past as a whole. So, enjoy. Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and today I'm reviewing LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past Part 1. I do think I like this pretty well. I think it was good on reintroducing us to our characters and setting up what Pieces of the Past is going to be about. So, just do a quick little recap. Sig is being trained by Jedi Bob in the ways of the Force and of Force building. Dev is seeking power. We learn that the Empire is still kind of around, but they're not going to be as a threat of this series. Instead, it's going to be Jedi Bob's former Jedi Master who fell to the dark side and was put in Force hold, which by the end of the episode, spoilers, is where Sig and Dev are sent to, along with Servo, who is basically on a journey of self-discovery, programmed himself to fake snow so that way he can, I don't know, he's the characters in the universe are getting annoyed by him, but at the same time, I kind of find that very much endearing. Basically, he is being Data from Star Trek, but not without the lack of ability to understand emotions. That's pretty much what is going on. He's just on a journey of self-discovery and trying to experience every single emotion possible. And that's what really is his part of it, comic relief, and they found a great way of doing it. But ultimately, this episode was setting up with Yesi. We learn that she's basically lost her purpose. She doesn't know what she's doing and all that. We get to see the lander rolling in, which is just so crazy. And every character is like, oh, how cute Baby Yoda is, which obviously is a reference to how us, the fans, actually responded to Baby Yoda. So I definitely will say there was a little bit of an advertisement in this episode when they showed off what is clearly the current LEGO Star Wars Death Star model, which I know some people have very complicated thoughts about, but I did pick that up. So a little bit of advertisement, but come on. The best LEGO advertisements are the ones that you don't even realize are advertisements till afterwards. LEGO has gotten that, I think, down to a science in who they collaborate with and all that. But anyhow, that's kind of sidetracked from the purpose of this review, which is just to establish that part 1 is all about reintroducing us to our characters and where they're at in their lives, so that way we can actually present the major threat and also get to that, yep, the Empire is Sith, yep, they're not going to be involved at all. It's going to be, instead, like I said, Jedi Bob's former Jedi Master. And just one last thing, when they started the episode, it starts with a crawl, but Sig interrupts it because it's too slow, and he goes in his chaotic energy, recapping the events of LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, which I thought was an interesting way of doing it, still honoring the crawl, but like, yep, we gotta be a little quicker because of the Star Wars show that this is, which I thought was a very clever way of doing that. But those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and today I'm giving you guys my review of LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past Part 2. So to begin with, this episode opens up after it does, the normal head thing that they do for Star Wars, but this time in LEGO. They open up with this Star Wars LEGO Star Wars logo, which is so great, which also fits nicely because it gives us a flashback of Jedi Bob and his master, his former master, going to a place, and then his master basically falling to the dark side, and Jedi Bob force pushing him into the Force hold so he couldn't destroy the galaxy. Of course, we do learn later that that was in retrospect, a bad call because that gave Solitus the chance to learn every version, or maybe not every version, but a bunch of arcane Force techniques that have been lost to the past. But also another thing I really liked about how they've portrayed it, that flashback, is because it was in a former world, so not the world that Sig is from, but the one that Jedi Bob is originally from. One had more of a VHS film grain effect added to it rather than the smoother animation. I don't think it was actually stop motion like a lot of the early and older, and especially lots of fan LEGO Star Wars creations. However, even if they didn't do it actual stop motion, I think they made it look like that, made it look older, which I very much appreciated. And it was just a great way of opening the episode with a flashback, but also calling back to how Lego used to do its own specials. Because if you, some of the earlier Lego Star Wars specials have that older look to them, and also to lots of fan-made content, even still today, still has a look, just crisper imagery. But with that said, I thought this was overall very good. We get to see Jaxxon, which is that character from the old Marvel comics, who is basically a rabbit. He's in the Force Souls. We get Brickhead, Ahsoka, and in there, Dev and Sig have to work together. Sig's all in favor, but Dev needs to learn to work together. And they eventually reopen the portal to get back to the galaxy that Solitus has been destroying. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. They may have to rebuild the galaxy again, because of everything that Solitus is doing. But like I said, this episode really shows the stakes that Solitus is going to be presenting to our heroes. And that's ultimately what this is, besides all the fun jokes and all that. And there's a lot of good fun jokes, but I won't get into them all because I don't want to spoil them for you. But those are my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and today I'm continuing my review of LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past with Part 3. And can I just say, I think Solitus, he just needs a sensory deprivation chamber. So let me explain. So in this episode, he's basically winning? It seems like it. By the end of the episode, he's talked Dev into siding with him, and they open up a rift that will literally unmake the entire galaxy. And that's what happens at the end. And then he sighs and says, finally, peace. So he might have said peace and quiet. I think he just needed a sensory deprivation chamber, and that would have solved everything. Probably not. But before that all happens, you could definitely tell that Dev, he's feeling the pull of the light side, but Jedi Bob being distrustful of him ruins any chances of that. It definitely does. And so just poking the right buttons too, and manipulate him just right. But there's another thing going on too. Naboo is apparently a pirate kingdom ruled by Pirate Queen Amidala, who is Jedi Darth Vader's old fling. Which of course it makes sense, it has to be. But somehow she doesn't know that she has kids. Interesting. Like, how would she not know she had kids? Who knows? It's Lego. It's Lego Star Wars. Don't take it that seriously, guys. Don't take it that seriously. But also, one of the ships that Dev makes in this episode is a BB-8 wing. Which, honestly, hilarious. And then, I don't know, a BB wing. And then during the battle scene, Luke calls in that this BB-8 checking in. And because his BB wing is BB-8's colors. Also, R2D2. That's the entire reason why they did the pirate stuff. They wanted to do that pun. I guarantee you. Overall, fun episode. And ultimately, this episode, and I'm seeing this season as a whole, is more about Dev than it is about Sig. Sig, we'll go watch my review for Rebuild the Galaxy, but Sig's character development there was basically coming to terms that the galaxy that he knew is no more. This season, Pieces of the Past seem to be a lot more about Dev and his own character development, what he wants and what he's learning. But we gotta wait for Part 4 to find out for sure. But in the meantime, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and today I'm reviewing Part 4 of LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past. So everything comes to an end here. Pretty much. Obviously, there's still an avenue for more storytelling, but ultimately, like I was thinking when I watched Part 3 and expressed in my review, that Pieces of the Past is more about Dev than it was about Sig. Sig's still important and all that, but the important thing is this was the season, the show, to give Dev his redemption arc. He betrays Solitus, which I kind of predicted, especially in this episode, there's a line with it where he says, I know what I have to do. And after Solitus asks him if he will, be able to kill his brother, I know what I have to do. That's not a yes. And yeah, he betrays Solitus, and the good guys win. They do temporarily get an alliance with the Sith, and yeah, the Sith are just being agents of chaos, but at the same time, they do cooperate for a little bit in the end so that way they can defeat Solitus. They were going to attack, but they decided just to scamper off instead. And now they got to rebuild the galaxy. And they got everyone from the Foursold that was from other galaxies that have been destroyed. So the question is there anything from Sig's original galaxy in the Foursold that's now in the new galaxy from Rebuild the Galaxy? Perhaps. But that's not important. The important thing is Brickhead Ahsoka finds some other Brickheads. Brickhead Hera, Brickhead Ezra, and then Brickhead Sabine. That's it that we see. And Servo decides that after he's experienced all the emotions and falling in love, now it's his time to do something new. He wants to perform. He wants to do comedy. And by the way, he does fall in love with a probe droid named Viper throughout this. I haven't really mentioned it. And she's like, like not a big fan of that idea. Like it won't go well. Meanwhile, I'm like, he's a comic relief. Probably would not be good for him to be headlining. That, yeah, probably wouldn't be actually a good idea. But ultimately, yeah, this episode ends with a really positive message. Yeah, basically, Dev is redeemed, and Jedi Bob basically realizes his mistake of projecting his own securities by his own master onto him being a teacher. That's essentially what it boils down to for his character arc. We get the C-3POs fighting K2SO and a bunch of other stuff. Also, I'm pretty sure there's a reference in here to Robin Hood Men in Tights, I think. Let me know if I'm right. I'm not quite sure, but I think I saw a reference, or heard a reference to that. And then Solitus, he's defeated when he's shoved into actual oblivion. And now he's all alone. Well, he kind of deserved it. He could have redeemed himself, but just like Palpatine, he's incapable of redemption. But that's what I got to say. Tune in to my full review for the LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past. But in the meantime, let me know what you saw of Part 4 in the comment section down below. So now that we've taken a look at each individual part of LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past, let's take a look at it as a whole, what I think of it overall. I enjoyed it very much. I will say I think I liked Season 1, for lack of a better term, LEGO, just the first 4 they're not really series seasons because like on Disney Plus it's being treated as different shows, but on Wikipedia it is being treated as 2 seasons of the same show, so it could go either way. But for practical purposes, let's refer to the first 4 as Season 1 and Pieces of the Past as Season 2. And I think I like Season 1 better. I think Sig's story was much better in terms of relating to us, the audience, with that seeming revolving around, hey, Star Wars is not what you were, your galaxy doesn't know is not what you knew anymore, it's something different, something new, but there's still things that you can find enjoyable and enriching and exciting about that. That story that Sig learned is very much applicable to us fans, where there's a large portion of us who instantly just say no to everything new, who instantly chooses to dislike what's new and what's different rather than giving it a chance. That's the story that Sig learned, and that's the story that a lot of us Star Wars fans need to learn. But in Pieces of the Past, it's not so much about that. Yes, there's a little bit about keeping secrets, because that kind of causes a problem with Jedi Bob now revealing about his master Solitus, but not really, not too much in all honesty. But more of it was about, hey, you know what, let's give Dev a redemption, a chance to be redeemed, and that's ultimately what Pieces of the Past is all about. And it's facilitated by a piece of the past, Solitus, coming back, even though he's from an old past in an old galaxy far, far away a long time ago kind of deal thing. So, again, not quite as good. I still think it's very enjoyable, but I don't think the messaging is as strong as Season 1 was. But, like I said, despite that, I still enjoyed it. Like, for very much in Part 2 when it opened up with the flashback, the fact that after it did the Star Wars heads that they've been doing at all Disney Plus Star Wars shows, that they showed this LEGO Star Wars logo, which, by the way, when I put this shirt on for these videos, I hadn't watched it yet because I was going to do watch review. I had not known that they were going to do this, and when I saw it, like, oh, I chose the perfect shirt for it. It's my only LEGO Star Wars shirt, so that's part of the reason why I chose it, but I was glad I did, especially for Part 2. I mentioned when I talked about Part 2 how much I very much appreciated in the flashback that they chose to depict it as basically an old stop motion Lego short film, which I thought was really cool, really clever way of doing that. And yeah, I will say though, part of this design screams true modern Star Wars, modern Lego. Jedi Bob, with that still having the yellow skin tone, he screams an older era of Lego compared to the more accurate flesh tones that we are getting now. And with Solitus, he kind of fits into that more modern design of Lego, even though he's supposedly from the same galaxy as Jedi Bob, where things have that more older Lego style view. But alas, that was not something they decided to dwell on, and honestly, it's not too important. That visual design is just a neat little thing, and honestly, too, in the flashback, they made some of this fit in pretty well, so it's just more of, in the modern Lego design, he doesn't fit, when you figure he's supposed to be an old Lego design, if that makes any logical sense. But there's other things I can discuss, like, the cornerstone brick, which we should just call it corner brick, I don't know why they did. How was Solitus's plan to turn everything into emptiness? How did that affect that brick? I'm just curious. That's a logical conclusion of season one, a logical outlook, and that they never really addressed. It didn't need to be addressed for the story at hand, but nerds are going to nerd, and we're going to overanalyze every specific detail, and that's a detail I am bringing up along with Solitus's design and blah blah blah. I'm overanalyzing. Does it take away from the story? No. Is there plot hole? No. Is it me just being pedantic and overanalyzing? Yes. And do I have an answer for it? No. So, will of the Force. That's how we're going to justify it. That's how you justify any plot or anything like that in Star Wars. It's the will of the Force. And plot convenience, plot contrivance, all that stuff. And by the way, there's a difference between plot hole, plot convenience, and plot contrivance. Just so you know, that's going to be a different video that I'll never probably do. But overall, like I've emphasized, I did enjoy it, just not as much as season one. But hey, those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.